Okay, thank you. You can see the picture from 1970s. And actually, 1960s and 1970s, it was a time of deep ecology. And I actually grew up in Estonia in the frame of deep ecology. And I think also the picture here at the beginning, where artist is Kalja Põllu, is quite well describing that kind of deep ecology thoughts. But anyhow, we actually proposed a presentation which is 3 times so long as I have time, so I must cut it down. And to remember the view where is Estonia, it's here in north, and Belorusije is here much lower. And I must say that there is a certain reason why people who are investigating the mythology in detail or legends in detail, they know that Estonian legends they are deeply similar to Northern people, this plus Germany and Belarusians, they have typical Slavic influences. But anyhow, because the Belarusian is like a treasury of folklore, as Nikita Tolstoy said, a famous Russian ethnolinguist. And I think that Estonia and Finland, they are treasury of folklore, and folk archives preserved in archives. So we decided to speak a bit about different folklore genres and also myths about animals. So here is another, I think, good starting point for our topic. So if we are looking to the folklore, we can see that in many genres, we are preserved kind of past relations between humans and animals. One very important aspect is names for animals, because they demonstrate quite well kind of hidden relations in the language and also euphemisms. If you cannot use and even before the Second World War, it was quite typical that you cannot say the official name, the standard language name of the animal, because the animals can hear and understand what you are speaking. So they used plenty of euphemisms. And it is quite huge amount if you pay attention to the biologist Ilma Rootsi, who worked very hardly with different manuscripts and printed sources, and he found out that wolf has in Estonian language more than 400 different euphemistic names. If you are asking how much the pupils or young people know them today, I think 15. Or actually, I realized that I must organize kind of experiment and to realize how many kind of euphemisms they can connect with different animals. But I realized that also in the journals we can count more than 100 different wolf names. So it's quite huge. Animal is in the middle of animals, bigger animals. Wolf has very good place, and it is I think, the most important animal in Estonia. Not biggest one, but quite important. As you can see, the bear and all other animals, they have also hidden names or euphemisms, but not so much. For example, bear 50 and all other creatures, not so much. Another interesting linguistic and mental categories were and when people are using the kinship terms when they are speaking with animals or birds and so on. And I think very important is when people are saying to animal or addresses, it can be kind of human being, like man, father, sister, brother, and so on. And yesterday, during the excursion, we saw the road, and in the middle of the road there was a wolf sheet, yes. And in Estonia, everybody knows that the wolves are coming when there is a road. They are coming in the middle of the road. And if you would like that he will go away or to have a small portion of path for you, you must say that villager or village man, please give part of the way to me. And so I think they are quite interesting. Also, kind of higher stratification sometimes. When people are calling animals like a mistress or lord or master or young master, maiden of the forest, and so on. And there is another interesting layer, and it means that people are not very well wanted to eat animals or looks like human beings without skin. And I mean, it's obvious about bear and also seal, because they are looking like animals, and you cannot eat animals actually. It's something which is not connected, I think, not confessions, but something deeper inside the people. Of course, there are many things which are proposed differently in everyday ordinary language and in different folklore genres, but I think these euphemisms, nicknames, and also food ways, it's quite important to remember. Because, as I said, at first we decided to speak about the etiological legends, but after a while we realized that we have too much of them. So I tried to speak about some origins of animals or plants from humans. There are, of course, other legends which are connected with, especially in Estonia, where part of legends are built up like two brothers called and his half brother called in Estonian Kurat or Pagan. It's Kurat is nicknamed to Estonians because it's a very often used word at all. And so they are making different animals and insects and so on. And there are also kind of self-creation stories where animals happen to be from nowhere. So very often we can find that the etiologies are connected with kind of universals. And actually, as I said, very often the origin of animals or birds for violation of kind of prohibition, forced prohibition of natural prohibition. So let us see closer. Seals. People and seals have formed long-lasting relationships in many parts of the world. And I just recently read an article about ecological findings connected with the seals at the Baikal lake, which is Buryatic in Russia, Buryatic area close to China and actually also to Mongolia. So they hunted seals 900 years ago. Of course, seals lived before the hunters came. But the interesting thing is that during these 9,000 years, there was approximately 600 years ago, 2,000 years of climate change, very dry, very hot climate. I mean, it means that there was a very few seals and the people must reorientate to the plants and so on. But I must draw your attention to some findings of our previous researcher. For example, Oscar Loritz concluded the narrative about the Pharaoh warriors. It is the most famous biblical story connected with seals. When the Egyptian warriors followed the Jewish people and Moses, the red sea called the Egyptians, and in Estonian versions we call so the seals. Oscar Loritz said that actually Livonians, it is a small nation in the close territory to Estonia, and our language relatives, they did not want to eat the meat of seals, and also Paul Aristia, who was a professor of linguistics and made a huge amount of field work, said that seals are like half prowlers, and he describes that for half prowlers there are certain rules. You can make a clothes, you can use the fat, but not eat them, and so on. So I think I start with a story. Estonians don't have such kind of legends, etiological legends, like Belarusian and Slavic people, but we have in the older layer of epic in the mythical background, and often it's connected with different animals or birds. And here, one mythical person, lady probably, walks around and she found an egg. She put an egg in the safe place, and after some months, the maiden comes out of the egg. And here is a little thinking moment, because it is a maiden, and at the same time, she is a stork. And no explanations actually in the epics. Later, she had many proposals from sun and from moon and from star, and at the end of epic story, she made a choice, married with star, and she's sitting in the heaven and looking on the earth from heaven. So again, there are some prohibitions. For example, in stork and spawn is not is prohibited to kill, and also it is quite strict, as you cannot collect the eggs from the nests or on them. It is one of the oldest layers, but it survived, especially collecting the eggs from the earth is preserved until now. And our last year, the most important scandal was not political, not economical, both are very hot topics just now. But it was scandal because in a small place, somebody killed 5 storks. So it was first time after the kind of struggle about the forests and cutting trees down. It was a huge scandal. People were strongly against the killing birds, and they also wanted to see who was the person behind this killing. If we are looking to Belarusian legends, we can see actually some saying motives. Again, quite strict prohibitions, what a human being can do or what not. But here is one of the interesting etiologies which speaks in Estonia. It's typically a half brother gets from the board a bag, and from curiosity he opens the bag. It's full of insects, snakes, and so on. As you can see in Belarus, it is not the acts between God and the half brother, but there is again some harmful persons, and as at the end he will be a stork. So, as you can see, very often, it is interesting question, of course, very often bad etiological stories are connected with the female. It's like a struggle between male and female. You actually, if you are recording etiological legends, you can find, of course, the legend which are saying male did it, and again female whales and so on. I mean, it means that after the main story there are different other stories, why the stork has, for example, long legs and beak, and they are red with a shame because he behaved badly, and so on. And quite interesting over the different human variations, vernacular variation of biblical stories. And here you can see Noah released the stork from the ark to search for the earth, and typically in Bible and in other versions it was the cow. But stork can also be a cursed child. He creates from Adam and Eve, and so on. So there are different variations, and also you can see some which is again typical to etiological legends. They are not serious all the time, but there are a lot of emotions and fun. And I think one of them is the man who wanted to steer a boat and jumping from under a bridge, and that boat turns him into a stork. So kind of very, very raw and very interesting emotional and our reactions all the time. And quite interesting is, I think every nation knows why you cannot throw away your cutting nails, and the explanations are quite different. In Estonia, you will get a headache, very bad headache. But in Belorussia, it's more in the legend style. You must collect after death. You are being like a stork, and you must cut with your beak all these cutting nails. So I don't know how much time I have. I think that my time is actually over. Okay. So I only showed to you these pictures are coming from Belarusian national monastery, and they had also got the prize. So, of course, I think it is better to read the published articles. So I think you can read all these legends and more. So also turtles who are living in southern Belarus has many legends. And again, it is Polessia, which is very famous natural environment, but also full of different legends and folklore. So to sum up, I think so. But we must draw more attention to different genres of folklore. At first, I think that all these opinions and all these values that we can find in folk belief are important. But also, I think that all these corpus of etiologies, they are contradictory. It's very obvious, contradictory, full of fun, full of making humor and so on. But they also have kind of basic things. And last but not least, I think that we are very thankful to all these guys who at the beginning of 20th century revived and started to think about the human and animal souls, about the ecological things and so on, like Ove Hultgrams and many more. But we also are very thankful to Arnenas and others who survived, and Jean Goodall and others who investigated the animals and who draw the middle of our minds and who said many good things. And I think in conclusion, I hope that our duty is to say something totally new about environment and ecology. Thank you very much.